In this video I'm going to show you how to replace the fuel pump from this Audi A6. So on this car you can get access to the fuel pump through the back seats. Let's remove this carpet. And down here on the passenger side you're gonna find the fuel pump assembly cover. So with a screwdriver in cross, go ahead and remove these 3 screws. On the connector you're gonna find 4 wires. 2 of them are for the 12-volt supply to the pump and 2 others are for the fuel level indicator. I think this connector was not removed from here for a long time. This connector is so brittle that it came out in pieces. I've got this clip here which will secure on this pin, even though it looks broken but still works. And let's clean a little bit this area here. Next you have to take this plastic ring out. For that I've got this special tool which can be adjusted to the size of the ring. On the fuel line you gotta press on that tab and it will come out like that. You've got a tab here which you can feel that it goes in, and that's how you can remove these connectors. Now this fuel pump assembly should come out. Let's remove this ring as well. Okay, so just make sure that you locate the fuel level indicator and try to not break it. I'm just waiting for all the gasoline to come out. Okay, now make sure that you have some fire extinguisher around, and of course you want to be as safe as possible, right? Alright, so a lot of you guys ask me how to test this fuel level indicator, because a lot of you guys have problems with it. And it makes sense because this is very sensitive and it requires those 2 pins to slide on those 2 connectors. And basically this is just a simple potentiometer which will change resistance between these 2 wires. And the computer will send 5 volts through one of the wires and it will get back the amount of voltage which is going to be allowed by the potentiometer. So that's how you can test it. You have to do a resistance test. I have here the voltmeter to 2000 ohms and we've got 66 ohms of resistance. Now the car will indicate that the fuel tank is low because this is on the limit, is on the lowest point. And when I'm going to raise the fuel level indicator, you should see an increase in resistance, which means that the computer will get less voltage back. So let's say if it sends 5 volts reference, as most of the cars do, then you're gonna get less and less voltage if the fuel is full. So let's see if this continuity is increasing slowly and steady. You can see 80 ohms, 87, 95, 100, 118, 138, and you can see it's increasing as long as I press on this fuel level indicator. This is a very easy and obvious example of how potentiometer works, and this type of potentiometers are all over the car, especially on map sensors and mass airflow sensors, some of the oldest ones. Now another problem with this sensor, it can be that these pins do not touch these 2 plates. So if, for example, let's say that these 2 pins which are connected to the sensor are not touching the plates, what is going to show on your dash? Well, because there is going to be full resistance, it will tell to the computer that your car is full, when in reality this can be, the sensor can be positioned right here or maybe low. You can see back there you've got those 2 pins which are spring loaded and they will always make contact with these 2 plates. So if that spring is gone or for some reason it doesn't press properly on that connector, you're gonna get a lot of wrong information about the fuel level because it's not gonna be accurate, right? And right now I'm going to leave the sensor at the minimum and I'm going to connect the fuel pump assembly. Alright, so now you can see that the fuel level indicator is low, but sometimes you have to disconnect the car battery in order to reset the memory from the car, and that's how you can test up the level. As you can see, there is the sign, and now we can just repeat the process and set the level on the fuel pump in the position you want, and then you can see and check the level which is shown on the dashboard, and that's how you can test if there is a correct signal to the computer. So let's see, I'm going to take out the key. Let's put the level sensor somewhere on the halfway, just like that. And now let's see, that full level indicator on the dash should be also on half. And there it is, guys. You can see how it jumped on half. Well, approximately. So from this point, guys, you can do a bunch of tests, like check if you have 12 volts at the connector. You can check the fuel pressure. Just connect your fuel gauge and see if the pump is delivering the correct pressure. I already checked that and I could see that is pumping around 60 psi. Another thing you can check is the voltage drop. I've done that a couple of times. It's quite easy. You just connect, for example, this is going to be the positive. You put one of the terminals here, and then the second terminal of the voltmeter, you're going to connect it to the car battery, the positive side of the car battery, and then turn your voltmeter to 20 volts. Now, when I turn the key in the ignition, you should see the voltage rise here. A 0.2 volts dropped, which means that the circuit to the pump does not have any obstructions and the current can deliver the amperage required for the pump to work. And one more thing, guys, this line right here is the input line which comes directly from the fuel pump. So if you measure the pressure at this line, you should see the same pressure as it is when it comes out from the pump. If it's lower pressure here, then you must check the fuel line between this point and the fuel pump connector. And that's most likely to be the fuel filter, which can be clogged and does not allow the pressure of the fuel to build in the fuel rail. And sometimes, guys, even if the pressure is right here, when you accelerate very hard, if the fuel filter is clogged, then the fuel pump cannot keep up with the requirement of pressure inside the fuel rail, because when you accelerate on a highway, let's say, you're going to use a lot of pressure, a lot of fuel will be delivered to the cylinders, and if the fuel pump is not able to keep up with the fuel pressure requirement, then you got a problem. You get misfires and lack in power, even though when you test it right now when the car is sitting, you might get the correct fuel pressure, but on a highway the fuel pressure will be low. So that's why on better cars like Mercedes, you're going to find the Schrader valve here, where you can connect your fuel pressure gauge and then go for a ride and see how the fuel pressure is changing when the engine is under a load. That's a very important factor which cannot be tested in a garage. Anyway, you can kind of compensate with that by, when connecting the fuel pressure gauge on this line and you turn on the pump, you should be able to see how fast is that pressure build. It shouldn't be a slow movement, it should be quite fast, and that can be a sign that you've got something clogged between this point and the fuel delivery point. Now the fuse for the fuel pump, you can find it under this cover. Is this 20 amps fuse, the yellow one. It's worth to check it out if you cannot hear any click when you turn the key in the second position. Also, if you cannot hear that click and the fuse looks good, then you might go ahead and check out the relay, which is under this cover. I already showed you how to do that test on the fuel pump relay in the video with all the fuses and relays from this Audi A6. The video is going to be in the playlist. Go ahead and check it out if the situation is required for you. Now, depending on your budget, guys, you can go ahead and replace just the pump itself. You can see it has a simple 12 volt connection, and it's not absolutely necessary to replace the whole assembly, because this can be quite expensive compared to just the fuel pump itself. Now from this point, once you figure out what you need to do, just go ahead and install back the assembly. First the fuel level indicator. Alright, that's a fuel line. And let's put back this ring. This rubber ring can be a pain to install it back, so you gotta take your time with it. Alright, so I've got the fuel pump on. Now I'm gonna put this ring back. And we can reconnect these fuel lines. Alright, so that was pretty much it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you have this Audi A6, go ahead and check out the playlist. It's gonna be a link in the description below with all the videos I made about this car. Also, if you are new to this channel and you want to see more car repair videos from me, click that subscribe button as well. I will publish a lot of do-it-yourself videos on how to repair and maintain different cars. So I think it's worth to subscribe, and until next time, take care and I will see you soon.